Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the Honeybird Studio podcast. My name is Jenny, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Honeybird Studio. This is a podcast primarily about knitting and possibly some other fiber-related endeavors that I might be getting up to. But for today, it is all knitting with a little bit of admin and some acquisitions at the end. So, welcome back to those of you who are returning viewers. So glad to have you back again. And also I want to say hello and welcome to all the new viewers. So glad that you could stop by and check out my channel today. I am like running on very little sleep right now, so if I start to wander off in my thoughts, that's why. I was up all night trying to get my test knit ready to send out to my test knitters today, so I'm a little wired. I'm like, I've got anxiety but also excitement. So yeah, with that said, I will jump right into the admin section because I want to start off with the winner of the giveaway from the last episode. So this morning I did the YouTube comment picker, and the winner from the last episode is CC Von K, and she says, "I'm so excited about your beautiful Tassel Tango shawl and can't wait to buy the pattern. Both are just beautiful. Hopefully it will be available soon. I always enjoy your podcast so much." Thank you so much. And yes, the pattern is coming soon, but not too soon. It is definitely, I just sent out the test knit information, the whole package this morning. And I still have quite a few things to work out for the pattern. So my tentative release date is Tuesday, September 7th, assuming everything goes right. But yeah, so thank you, CC Von K, for commenting and coming back to view my channel and my podcast. Oh, my words are all over the place today. But yeah, so if you can contact me either through Instagram, Ravelry, or through email, and I will get you set up with your prize, which is your choice of any one of my patterns on Ravelry. And if you don't use Ravelry, I would certainly be able to send you the pattern through email. But yeah, so that's that. Also on that note, if you'd like to, I'm going to continue the giveaway for each episode for the rest of the summer, which I think I've got 3 more. I'm going to be recording, if I keep on schedule, I think I've got 3 episodes this month that I will be recording. So if you'd like to enter to win one of my patterns, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below. And I do have a prompt for if you, I'll get to that later. I'm all over the place. All right, so that's that. And then the other admin I wanted to touch on was my Ravelry group. We're currently running 6 from Stash Make-Along 2021. So the premise of the Make-Along is basically using anything from your stash that you acquired previous to this year. So anything from 2020 and before is eligible for this Make-Along. And I streamlined the rules and guidelines to make it a little bit easier and more accessible. So I basically took out the categories and decided that I would do, I think the rules are your project, to enter into the finished object thread, your project just has to be at least 50 grams. So whether that's like 50 grams of fingering weight yarn, 50 grams of bulky weight yarn, doesn't matter, as long as it's 50 grams of yarn. I figured that's probably the easiest way to get an entry in. So yeah, so there's a chatter thread and a finished objects thread. So if you would like to be a part of that make-along, head on over to the Ravelry group, and links as always will be in the description box below. So like all the timestamps, show notes, and everything, you'll be able to find that in the down bar below this video. I think that was it for admin. It's pretty quick. Yes. So with that all said, I'm going to jump into the knitting, and I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, which is also a finished object. And if I move my hair out of the way, you can see that this is another Ranunculus. So this is my third one that I've knit. And this one is, so the pattern is Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. And I've done the short sleeves, or like the short sleeve version where you basically like cast off and then continue onto the body. And the length, I made it, I didn't make it cropped. I actually just kept going until I ran out of yarn. And then I did a, like, I think it was maybe, was that 5-row 1x1 ribbing? And then I cast it off. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think I mentioned on the last episode about the sleeves. I knew, like, before I blocked it, they were kind of curling up, but I knew from experience from a previous Ranunculus that after blocking, the sleeves would settle down, and I like the way that they sit now, and I really like the drape of this. The yarn I used is Cascade Yarns Anchor Bay. And if I remember correctly, it is a 50% merino and 50% cotton yarn, I believe. But yeah, I really like this pattern. I mean, this is the third one I've knit now. I can see myself definitely knitting another one. I would like to make the same thing like with the short sleeves, but I think instead of casting off, I would put the sleeves on hold and then come back and just knit a little bit of ribbing around the sleeves. I think that would probably give it a little bit, I mean, it looks really nice, but I think giving it a little bit of ribbing would give it just a little bit like that finishing touch. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be able to wear this. I was super excited to put it on today. It's been sitting on the blocking mats in my studio for a couple of days now. It was pretty well dry within a day, I'm pretty sure, but I just left it on the mats. Figured I'd wait until I podcasted to put it on. So yeah, and I used about I used basically 2 skeins of the Cascade Anchor Bay. This was originally knit up in a shawl, oh gosh, 2 years ago. And I found that I just wasn't wearing that shawl. I really liked the color, so I just ripped out the shawl, wound up the yarn into balls, and then it sat for a while, but now it's knit into a ranunculus and now I can wear it. So I'm really excited about that. Sorry, my hair is doing all sorts of today. But yeah, so that is what I'm wearing, and that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is also a garment, and this is my Weekender by Andrea Mowry. Let's see, where's the front and the back? Oh, here we go. So this is my Weekender. This was a lot of fun to knit. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. I did the tubular cast on wrong. I didn't realize until I started another one that I had done it slightly, I think I just missed a step. And I'm pretty sure I did the tubular bind off incorrectly, or I'm not sure. I did something weird up here. I don't think it's quite right. But I'm going to go back and watch the tutorials again, make sure I get it, or watch the tutorial for this again to make sure I get it right the next time. But yeah, so this is knit out of Bralette. Is it Bralette? Super Value? Yeah, I believe it was Bralette Super Value. So it's just a 100% acrylic yarn. And I think I knit the smallest size because I originally cast on for the second size, and it was looking like it was just gonna be too wide. So I think I mentioned on the last podcast, I had cast on too many stitches, had to rip out the ribbing and do it again. But yeah, so I have tried this on and I really like the fit of it. But because it is acrylic yarn, it is a little bit like stiff. It doesn't drape as nicely as I would like it to. But that's okay. Like, it's still gonna be a nice, just sweater to wear around the house kind of thing. I might try steam blocking it just to get this part to lay a little nicer, because I find it kind of tries to roll up a little bit. My sister tried it on as well because I'm knitting her one in a different yarn in a different color, and I just wanted to see like if the length and size was good for her, and it is. So I'll use this one as like my schematic for like the length and stuff for the one that I'm knitting for her. But yeah, so this is really fun pattern. I would definitely recommend it. It was a lot of fun to knit. Really, yeah, I learned some new things. I've never done I guess this is a drop shoulder. Yeah, or something like that. I don't know. Like there's just a bunch of things that or not a bunch, but a couple things that I've never done before in garment knitting. So yeah, it was really exciting to do. And I'm sure I will do the neck bind off correctly for the next one that I knit. Yep. So that's finished object number 2. And of course I kind of went a little garment crazy with my cast-ons not too long ago. Because finished object number 3, it's technically finished. I do have to weave in a couple of ends. But this is my Felix Pullover. And this is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. So this, you can see that I've got the ends. I didn't weave them in because I had my sister try it on just to make sure that the fit was right. And that the length, like the length of the sleeves was good and the length of the body was good. And it's perfect for her. So I told her that she can't have it until I've shown it on the podcast. So I'll be weaving in the ends before I see her next time. The yarn that I used for this is Lion Brand Pound of Love. And I think, yeah, it came in a really big ball of, just a really big ball of yarn. And I did not have to, there were no knots, there were no joins, which was really nice. So I was able to knit from the top here all the way to the bind off at the bottom in one strand of yarn. And then each sleeve was one strand. Like there were no joins, which was so nice because I'll get into one of my works in progresses that has a bazillion ends to weave in already, and I'm not even like a quarter of the way through. But anyways, so the modifications I did on this pattern is, and I think I mentioned this before, once I get to the body of a garment, my tendency is to just kind of do whatever I feel like doing. Like I've come to find out that I'm not really into waist shaping. So if the pattern has waist shaping, I tend to omit that. And if it has arm decreases, I tend to omit that as well. So I knit the arms straight. And then I think I went down a needle size, did a 2x2 ribbing, and did a stretchy bind off. And the other modification I made was I continued the eyelet pattern. Whoop, if I can show it here. Along the side. Oh, this is a little awkward. Along the side of both sides of the sweater. So it's on both sides. And it looks really good on my sister. I'm really excited for her to have this. Of course, the weather is a bit too warm right now to be wearing sweaters, but the fall is coming. Not too soon. I mean, I still would like to enjoy some summer before we get into the cooler weather. But yeah, so that is my Felix Pullover. One of my Felix. I think this was my first one. Maybe my second one. The first one I finished anyway. So that's that. Got a couple of ends to weave in, which is not so bad. The next thing is okay, it's not completely finished, but the knitting on it is done. However, I have to weave in the ends, block it, and make the tassels. So I still have quite a bit of work to do. But, oh yeah, and this is kind of an acquisition as well that you guys didn't see on the last episode because I had acquired this yarn, I think it was just last Monday. Yeah, it arrived in the mail on Monday or Tuesday. In any case, about a week ago. And this is, well, first I'll tell you the pattern, which you might recognize, is the Tassel Tango, which is a pattern I've designed that I'm currently in the works of getting test knit and getting all the finishing touches and all that, getting the pattern together and ready for release in September. So I decided that my small version, or the small size, which is the petite Tassel Tango, I wanted to use Midnight Cravings. I think it's their light sock base. And I used the vanilla undyed yarn for the main color. So you see this is like technically the right side, or like side A, well, you know, depending on which way you want to wear it. So this is, in the pattern, this is the right side. And then on the wrong side, which is technically not wrong, it's just for the ease of, you know, pattern writing, right side, wrong side, easier to remember. So on this side, I've used their BC Orchards 5 skein mini set. So it starts with this really beautiful purple, like this dark, kind of like plummy purple. I think it was called Blackberry. And then it goes into this really beautiful pink with some purples in it. I think that was Fruit Stand. And then it goes into, oh my gosh, I've knit my hair into this. And then it goes into this beautiful peach color, which is fittingly called Freestone Peach. And then into this green with some of the peaches in there. And that one was Bartlett Pear. Yeah, Bartlett Pear. And then the final color is this green, which is Granny Smith. So yeah, it looks, I know like from experience from already knitting this size, it looks a little bit like small, but that's only because it hasn't been blocked yet. It's amazing what blocking can do to your knitting, or like even your crochet. How it just really relaxes the yarn and the stitches and really opens up, like especially for like lace. For this pattern, it really helps to open up the like the front side, so you can see the colors peeking through, like with the brioche there and then the slip stitches there. And it helps settle out this, it helps settle out the brioche because it tends to bulge a little bit until you've blocked it. And I don't block it. I didn't block my previous ones too aggressively, but I did like straighten out this top part as much as I could to kind of ease the bump that's here, because it's just seems to be, in my experience of crescent shaped shawls that I've personally knit, there's always like a little bit of a bump in the front or on the top middle part. So with blocking, you can kind of straighten that out, and it'll, instead of being like a large bump like that, it kind of eases out. So yeah, so this will be this one I'm going to be using to film my tutorial videos, which I need to get done soon. Oh man, I've got this test knit on my mind, and just all the things that I've done for it already, like all the writing up the pattern, it just takes a lot of brain power to do that, like to do the math and to write it out, to make sure, like to go back and check. And I'm not the most experienced person with brioche, and so doing research on how to write brioche for some reason was just mind-boggling to me. I had such a difficult time. Like I understood like the concept of brioche, like the brioche knit, the brioche purl, and the slip one yarn over, but it seemed like every place I looked for information, things were written slightly differently. So I'm hoping that I wrote it in such a way that makes sense to other people, because it makes sense to me, but that's because I'm the one that has knit it now. Like this will be 1, 2, 3, my 4th time. No, and I've got another one on the go. So I've kind of got this pattern ingrained in my head. I don't even have to look at the pattern anymore. But yeah, so this particular one, the petite shawl was designed for 1 full skein and a 5 skein mini set. However, when I did my initial math, I thought I would have at least 5 grams of the main color left over, and I pretty much, I used up all 100 grams. I used up all 437 yards. So I did not leave any of the main color left over for the tassel, for making tassels, but I do have I have enough of the colors left over to make the tassels. So I had to go back and revisit that part of the pattern and kind of put in some notes about yarn management and how to accommodate for being so close. Like if you're, because sometimes you might get a little bit more or a little bit less in a skein. So like if you're bang on 100 grams, you still might be off about a yard, give or take. So I wanted to make sure that I put information in the pattern for how to manage your yarn when it comes to the last, basically the finishing section. I've given the weight, like how much weight and yardage you will need to bind off, and options for different ways to bind, like using a different color to bind off so that you will have main color left over to make tassels if you want. But yeah, sorry, that was a really long-winded explanation. But yeah, so that's the Petite Tassel Tango. Yeah, it needs to be, I need to weave in the ends. I gotta film the tutorial of weaving in the ends because I'm sure, like, for me, myself, I would, if I was, if this was someone else's pattern and I went to go weave in ends on this, I would be like, oh, huh. It would be nice to have a visual of how the designer would weave in the ends, because it is a reversible shawl, so you have to be a little bit more careful with how you weave in the ends to make sure that they're not visible on the right side or the wrong side. So you want to make them as invisible as possible. And I think making a tutorial for that makes sense, or would be nice at least. Like I said, I would like a tutorial on that. I'm sure there's like lots of tutorials on how to do it, but you know, I'd like to make one for my pattern. Okay, enough chattering about it. But yeah, so this is living in, like, I mean, I've mentioned this before, all the bags I've made myself. Well, actually, that's a lie. Well, these bags I've all made myself, but yeah, it's just a floral print bag. This was like my large size, I have like schematics to make a small, a medium, and a large. But anyways, I think, yeah, so that's it for my finished objects. And that, I mean, like I said, that shawl is like the knitting part's done, but the finishing isn't. So it's kind of an in-between a finished object and a work in progress. So let's jump into the works in progress. And I guess on topic with the Tassel Tango, I'll just show another one that I'm currently working on. Living in this is like my medium-sized box bag. So this one is an interesting one because I just bought the sparkle yarn that I bought, that I showed off last time. I was initially going to use it for something else, or like for a Tassel Tango, but with a different set of mini skeins. But when I was looking through my stash, I thought it would be interesting to do a solid, or like a natural or neutral color on one side. So the sparkle yarn on one side, on the main side, and then a variegated on the wrong side, so on the contrast color side, just to see how like two skeins would work up of a main color and one contrasting yarn. And so I was looking through my stash and I found a skein of yarn that I actually dyed myself with, I think, food coloring about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, might have even been 3 years ago. No, it wouldn't have been that long ago. It probably would have been sometime in 2019, I think. But yeah, so the yarn I'm using was from my my local yarn shop here. This was the Sparkle Stellina base. I don't remember what the makeup is of it. It's probably it's a sock yarn, so it's got some nylon in it, some stellina and wool. And then this is basically the same thing but without the stellina, so it's sock yarn. So this is what I dyed up, and it looked really cool when it was in a hank. And then when I wound it up in a cake, I thought it looked really awesome. It's kind of like these pastels. Like it looks almost a little bit more like electric blues, but they're kind of, it's a bit softer, but I really like the way that it's working up. So I'll show you on the shawl how it's working up. Oh, it just, I don't know, it reminds me of like rainbow unicorns. The sparkle might not translate well on camera or on video, but basically on this side, you've got the sparkle yarn. And then on the opposite side, on the wrong side, or this side, you've got the variegated. So look at that, really cool pops of pinks and purples, and then the teals and blues. So I just really like the way that this is working up. Usually I like the contrast side more, like the wrong side of the shawl, the contrast side of the shawl. But I think with this one, I actually really like the way that the right side looks. Where the main color is the dominant one. Because I just love the peaks, like the little peaks of the colors there amongst the sparkles. So I'm really excited. Excited to get this one done, but it's going to be a while because I have to do, this one will have to be on the back burner for a bit because I have to do work knitting. I have to get some, I have to get my grande size Tassel Tango on the go because I've done the math, and I think if I've done it correctly, the way I have it laid out, it should be appropriate for the amount of yarn that I've chosen for that size. But I want to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and so of course I'm gonna cast it on tomorrow. I really want to cast it on tonight, but I've got work to do, other work that I need to get done. So I'm gonna cast it on tomorrow. But yeah, and I'll show that a little bit later. Or I'll show what my acquisition that's going to be turned into the Tassel Tango. Okay. All right. So the next works in progress, I think I've got 1, 2, 3. They're all garments. And this one's living in my sweet treats bag. I just call it my sweet treats bag because it's got sweet treats on it. And I love this bag. I think this is my favorite one to put projects into. So living in this bag is another Felix Pullover. Again, this is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. And this has had a little bit of surgery done to it because I did not like the length of the body. So I think I've got some yarn. Yeah, I still have yarn hanging off of it in certain locations. Yeah. So I finished a sleeve. I don't remember if I had finished the sleeve last time or not. Oh, I should tell you the yarn. The yarn that I'm using is Diamond Luxury Merino Supreme Aran. Pretty sure. So I had to do a little bit of yarn management because I thought I had enough yarn to knit both sleeves in one ball, but I guess I just eyeballed my yarn that I had left over. I should have weighed it because I ran out. Oh yeah. So I guess I put the yarn tail in there. So I ran out of yarn before I could get to the cuff of the sleeve. So I'm gonna have to, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I've put an afterthought lifeline into the body. Let's see if I can show, well, you can kind of see the cords there. Yeah. I've got the live stitches, I haven't ripped all the way back to the lifeline yet because I just didn't want lots of cords hanging off, or lots of tails hanging out. Sorry for all the clicking on the needles. But yeah, I tried it on and I didn't like the length of the body. It was too long. Or it was not long enough to be where I would like it to be as a long sweater, and it wasn't short enough to be where I'd like it to be a crop sweater. It was kind of in that in-between where it just didn't look right. And I know this yarn's gonna grow when I block it from experience. So, like, lengthwise. And so, depending on how much yarn I have left over, I'm either going to knit it longer or end up making it more cropped. So I gotta weigh my yarn. I have that much left, and I need to finish the sleeve, the second sleeve, and then I might make it cropped. I don't think that second ball of yarn is going to be enough to lengthen the body to the point where I'd like it to be. But yeah, this one has the same modification in that I did not do decreases in the sleeves. On this one, I did a 1x1 rib for the cuff. And I think, did I do a standard bind off? Yeah, I just did a standard 1x1, like bind off and pattern. And then I did the same thing on the side of the body where I continued the eyelet detail. So I've got, I think that's 4 repeats there. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So I might take it back to the third one and just make it crop. Or I might just see if I can get one more repeat in and then cast off. We'll see. I mean, it's not a big deal. Maybe I will just knit the body longer and see if I have enough yarn, and if I don't, then I'll just rip it back again. Because I don't mind. I'd rather have a garment that I like and that I would wear. Yeah, than to have something that is okay that I might wear, but maybe not. So if it takes extra time to knit it up, and then I find out that it's still not going to be long enough, I really don't mind, you know, taking off the bind off, put in an afterthought lifeline, and then just rip back again and make it more cropped. It's not a big deal. So that is one of my garments that I'm working on. And the next sweater-like garment that I'm working on is in a bag that I recently found in an old box of mine that I totally forgot. I got this from a thrift store back in 2013. Yeah, 2013, I think. It was actually a thrift store on Galliano Island, which is where I spent a couple of months. And that was the inspiration for my first pattern, the Galliano shawl. But yeah, it has a lot of good memories attached to it. I probably paid like $1 for this or something. The thrift store on the island was super, like, I picked up a really good pair of shoes too for like a toonie, which is $2. But yeah, so anyways, living in this very nice thrifted bag, it's kind of got these quilted panels on it, is Another Weekender by Andrea Mowry. And oh boy, this is the pattern itself is not the nightmare, but the yarn. The yarn has been a nightmare so far. I think I'm only on my 3rd skein, and look at all the ends that I have to weave in. Every skein, I'm pretty sure, it's not even a skein, it's like every ball of yarn, and they're only 50-gram balls of yarn, so I would have thought that there wouldn't be so many joins, but every single one has had at least one join in it so far. And I was really annoyed at one of them where there was a join, and then I maybe got like 3 rounds in, and then there was another join. So there's quite a few places where I'm going to have to weave in extra ends. I mean, the pattern itself is going to be lovely. Like the sweater is going to be lovely when it's done. But weaving in all those ends is going to be not so fun. But oh yeah, here we go. So this is a bottom-up sweater, and I tried to make it so I was like at the side, or ended at the beginning of the row. So that's the front, and then this is the back. Yeah, I'm making progress slowly but steadily. I pick it up every once in a while when I have an extra couple of minutes to spare. The yarn, the nightmare of a yarn. Okay, I shouldn't be so harsh. The yarn is really nice to work with. This one was the one that had an interesting fiber content. So this was Queensland Collection Leche. And this one, the fiber makeup is 40% extra fine merino wool, 30% microfiber, 20% milk protein, and then 10% silk. So it's really nice. Like, it is really nice to knit with. Like, I really enjoy knitting with it. It has an interesting texture, which is probably because of the milk protein, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen that in fiber content before. But yeah, so it's a 50-gram ball, and there's only 109 yards in it. And I would have thought that in 109 yards there would not be a join. But I don't know. Like I said, 3 balls in, and there has been a join, in at least one join in every single one of these. So, and it's going to take me at least, I think, probably about 10 balls to knit this sweater. So I'm going to have so many ends to weave in. This sweater is for my sister, so I hope she likes it when I'm done. I hope it fits. It should. I've knit the right size, and I'm going to be using my other weekender sweater as sort of the schematic, not the schematic, but like just to base it on, to make sure I get the sleeves the right length and the body the right length. But yeah, so that is my second weekender that I'm working on. And then the last work in progress, ooh, got fibers in my mouth. The last work in progress that's, I've been working on this one just here and there a little bit every once in a while, is my Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. That's not there. Okay, so I've made some progress. I've done the front, what is this, the front left? Oop, there we go. So it's the front right is still on, the stitches are on hold here, and I've done the front left, and I'm just working on the I-cord. It's on double point needles, which are in a little DPN holder that I made a long time ago. The yarn that I'm using is Loops and Threads Wool-like, and this is the yarn that I've used for every one of my Ripple bralettes, and I'm really, I wear my Ripple bralettes all the time, and I find, yeah, they don't breathe as well as like wool would, but I wear my Ripple bralettes like on the daily. I've got what, three that I kind of rotate. So yeah, I rotate. Yeah, and then so this will be my fourth one this one I'm knitting for myself. And I'd like to get a couple more colors so that I can have a different one for every day of the week. Saves on having to do laundry as often. But yeah, so that, again, not much else to say other than, like, I really love this pattern. I would absolutely recommend it. I've gotten to a point where I know exactly how many stitches I want to do for the bottom ribbing, exactly how many stitches I should say rows. However, like, I know exactly how many rows of ribbing that I want to do for each section, and I pretty much, at this point, almost have the pattern memorized because I've knit so many. This will be my fourth one for myself, and I've knit, I think, 3 for my sister and 2 for another friend. So yeah, and that's just living in my little fox bag, my small size. Yeah, so that's it for the knitting content. That's all the it's pretty much all the knitting I've been doing, even though I have a ton of whips. Like I recently did, this past Friday was my Finally Friday, which is free your needles and liberate your yarn. And that's basically when I take the last Friday of the month to pull out all of my whips, so all my bags and baskets that I have works in progress, and I go through them all and organize them, I think, into 3 categories. One is back burner projects, where it's like, I just don't want to work on them right now, but I know at some point in the future I would, like, I don't want to take them off the needles because I know eventually I am going to get to those projects. And then I have the second category is projects that I would like to knit on soon, but are not a priority. And then the third category is projects that I'm currently working on. So these would be the projects that I'm currently working on. I guess technically there's a fourth category, which is where the Finally Friday comes in, or the finally part comes in, is where I decide if I'm gonna frog it or finish it. And this past Friday, I think I'm going to be frogging 2 projects are getting frogged, a shawl and a sock. and one project I was hoping to finish because it's just the thumbs on a pair of fingerless mitts, but it's still sitting on my desk waiting to be knit on. I have too much work right now, so it's going to go back into probably the back burner because I don't need fingerless mitts until later when the weather gets colder. But yeah, sorry for the tangent there. But yeah, oh yeah, and then on that note, for Finally Friday, the hashtag is FYNALYY Friday. Free your needles and liberate your yarn. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting like acronym to use. So I mean, you can technically do it like any day of the month, any day of the week. I just like it's just something that I've been doing for a long time. Like just the last Friday of the month, it gives me a chance to clear off some needles, clear some headspace for new projects and stuff in the new month, in like the upcoming month. But yeah, all that to say, yeah, if that's it, or sorry, if that's all you are here to watch, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you very soon. Again, I'm hoping to podcast again in 2 weeks, so if you're leaving me here, thanks again and happy knitting. But if you're interested in my acquisitions, I have a few. Well, I guess 2, 3. Oh, I still got fiber in my mouth. Ooh. You ever get that where you're pulling out projects or yarns and the fiber just, it always seems to land on your lips. Anyways, so for my acquisitions this week, I'll start with, I guess like technically my first acquisition was the yarn from Midknit Cravings. I've already knit that up into a shawl. The second acquisition is actually a sweater's quantity of, that was gifted to me by a friend of mine. And this is, I've never heard of this company, but it's Mountain Colors hand-painted yarns. And the colorway is called Thunderstorm. It's 250 yards per skein, which I think it's 100. I imagine it's 100 grams. I did not weigh it. Oh yeah, approximately 100 grams skein. So it's got this like almost hand spun quality, like look to it, or at least that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw it. It's kind of got like that. I think it's called barber pole. I don't know. I'm not too up and up on the spinning terms. But yeah, so it's got like some purples and then like this grays and blues. And so I got, she gifted me 7 skeins of this. So it's definitely enough to make a sweater. I haven't decided if I want to make a cardigan. Oh yeah, here's the Mountain Colors. I haven't decided if I want to make a sweater or a cardigan. I'm going to knit up a swatch and see how it works up. And because I'm thinking maybe I'll make myself a Felix a Felix pullover in this yarn. I think if it works up the way I'm thinking, I'll have to alternate skeins because it is variegated, and looking at each one, like this one doesn't have much green in it, but this one has quite a bit of green up here. So alternating skeins is probably a must for this one. But yeah, I'm really excited about this yarn. Oh gosh, it looks so good. But yeah, so that's that acquisition. And then this colorful piece over here is actually from a new to me dyer. When I was looking up, I was researching independent yarn dyers who make up 10 skein mini sets, because for my Grande Tassel Tango, I wanted it to be for 2 full skeins of fingering weight yarn and then a 10 skein mini set. And there was a couple of indie dyers that I found, but this one caught my eye right off the bat. Like these colors were just phenomenal. So this is, the company's called Hidden Pond Yarns, and the owner is Katya, and this is, she's based out of Quebec. So that, yeah, it was really, Canada Post has been pretty great recently. I ordered the yarn, like, what was it? Not this last week, but the week before, and then these came, I think, midweek, like by, like, the Midday Cravings yarn, I think I ordered on, like, Thursday of the previous week, and it came on Monday. And then this one, even though it was delivered to a house further down the street, it did eventually make it to my house, I think Tuesday night. But this is the mini skein set. Oh my gosh, look at that. So it's kind of like a fade almost. Well, yeah, pretty much a fade. It goes from purple into the blues, into the greens, the yellow, the orange, and then the pinks. So I am super duper. Oh yeah, and it's gold stellina. You can't really see it. Yeah, can't really see it on the camera. But there's gold stellina in it. Sorry if it's crinkly. But yeah, so I saw this and immediately went through her shop to see if she had like a dark color for the main color, and I found this one called Inkwell. So this is like a, it's not like a deep black, but it is like a dark, like it is like a really, really dark, almost like it's kind of got like, maybe in this lighting it almost looks like it's got like a slight blue undertone, but maybe the lighting's just not quite right here. But in any case, it is perfect for what I was looking for. So I got 2 skeins of this. The other one is wound up on my table over there because I got to do a gauge swatch. But yeah, so this is her squishy sock base, 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon, and it's a 437 yards per 114 grams. And when I weighed these skeins, they actually came with a couple extra grams on them. So I'll definitely have, I mean, the way I rate the pattern will be so that it will be no more than the 114 given, because like I mentioned earlier, sometimes you might have a little bit more, and very rarely you might have like slightly less. But in my experience with like indie dyers that I bought from, you generally have, like, they generally give an extra gram or 2. If not, they're like right on the mark. But yeah, so I'll put the link for this shop in the description box below, so go check her out. So that's, and I'll hold it up with this. So the main color is going to be black on one side, and then the contrasting colors all on the other side. And I think, yeah, I'm going to start with the purple at the top and then work my way out to the pinks to the very end. So I am really, really excited. I'm so excited for this yarn. It was a big investment for me, but I just can't wait to cast this on. Pretty much like after I record this episode, I'm gonna cast on, or I'm gonna make the gauge swatch, and then I might just go on and cast on for the shawl, because I don't need this one for the tutorial videos, because I will be using my other shawl for the tutorial videos. But yeah, so thanks again for joining me today, and I hope you all are having a lovely summer. Yeah, it's the start of August, so it's the last month of summer for a lot of us. And then school starts in September for anyone that's going to school. But yeah, so I guess I'll see you guys again, hopefully in 2 weeks. And until then, happy knitting. Bye!